I can still hear my mother's cry from that morning echoing in my head, the sound of pain, shock, and humiliation all mixed into one broken voice. It happened on a rainy Thursday, one of those mornings where everything feels cold and heavy. My mother, who was in her late 60s, had just finished sweeping the compound. She moved slowly these days, her joints stiff from years of hard work and sacrifice. My sister-in-law, Fiona, was standing at the door that morning, arms crossed, smirking, watching my mother work as if it were entertainment. Mom had offered to clean because Fiona had complained that the compound was dirty. Even though she was weak, she didn't want to be a burden. That's just who my mother was, always trying to help, always trying to earn respect, even when she deserved it 10 times over. But as she stepped on the slippery tile, her foot gave way. She fell hard, the sound echoing across the yard. I heard her cry out in pain from the other room. I ran out instantly, and there she was, clutching her knee, tears streaming down her face. And Fiona? She laughed. Not a nervous laugh. A loud, mocking, heartless laugh. "Oh, look at her," she said coldly. "She can't even stand straight but wants to act like a maid. Maybe now she'll learn to sit down and stop pretending she's useful." I froze. I couldn't believe what I just heard. My blood boiled, but before I could speak, my mother whispered weakly, "Leave her, my son. Don't say a word." Her pain wasn't just from the fall, it was from the humiliation. The way Fiona's laughter cut through her heart deeper than any wound ever could. I helped my mother to her room, trembling with anger. She could barely move her leg. The doctor later said her knee was fractured and she'd need months of rest and therapy. Fiona didn't show concern, not once. She didn't even step into the room to ask how my mother was doing. But I'll never forget what she said later that night when I confronted her. "It's not my fault she's old and clumsy," she said casually, flipping through her phone. "Maybe you should use your money to build her a house so she can fall there instead of here." Those words pierced through me like knives. Still, my mother made me promise not to fight her. She believed that life had its own way of balancing things out. "Don't let anger turn you cold," she said softly. "Karma has better timing than we do." And she was right. A few weeks later, Fiona's world began to crumble in ways no one expected. Her husband, my brother, lost his job suddenly. The company he worked for shut down, and within days their savings were gone trying to cover bills and debts. Fiona, who always bragged about her perfect life, suddenly found herself begging neighbors for help. Then 2 weeks after that she had a car accident. Nothing fatal, but it left her with a broken leg, the same one she used to mock my mother's limp. When I visited her in the hospital, she sat there in a wheelchair, pale and tearful. She looked up at me and said quietly, "Now I understand how it feels." I didn't say much. I only looked at her, then whispered, "Karma doesn't forget. It just waits for the right moment." Meanwhile, my mother had slowly recovered. The same Fiona who once laughed at her was now begging for forgiveness. My mother, kind and gentle as always, visited her in the hospital, held her hand and said, "I forgive you. Pain teaches better than words ever could." Fiona broke down, crying uncontrollably. She realized that no amount of pride or mockery could protect her from the weight of her own actions. As I watched them, I realized my mother's strength wasn't in fighting back, it was in her grace. She never wished for revenge, but life itself became her justice. Moral lessons: never laugh at someone else's pain. Life has a cruel way of making you taste the same. Pride and cruelty may feel powerful, but they always collapse under karma's timing. True strength lies not in revenge but in patience, for life never forgets the tears of the innocent. The way you treat the weak says more about you than your success ever will. If this story touched you, please don't forget to leave a like, share and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our stories. Thanks for watching.